Breakout rooms, another popular topic, and there are many different dynamic ways to use breakout rooms. This is the basics. You may access and select breakout rooms from your toolbar on the fly in the middle of a meeting. You can also set up breakout rooms in your settings ahead of time if you wish. You can let Zoom automatically create your breakout rooms if you're on the fly. So let's say you've done a bit of teaching and you want students to come together in small groups to process what you've taught, but it doesn't necessarily matter to you what the group configuration looks like. If that's the case, look at that second photo. You can choose to create a number of breakout rooms, and Zoom will tell you approximately how many participants will be in each room. I like this feature a great deal because it'll say something like create 4 breakout rooms, and it'll say there'll be between 3 and 4 students in each room. If I want it up to 6, I can keep tinkering with that create, and I can toggle there in order to manipulate the group size. You can also create your groups manually. When you click on breakout rooms, you'll simply click manually instead of automatically, and it will pull up the full roster of your participants. And then you can assign them to the rooms that you want them to be in. You also have the ability to move participants from one room to another, and they have the ability to come back to the main room, especially if they have questions. There are some things you're not able to do as the host inside of breakout rooms. You're not able to share your screen. If you want to be able to share your screen to a breakout room, you have to physically enter that room and share it with the participants in that room. So if you stay in the main room, for example, and you have 4 breakout rooms, sharing your screen in the main room will not make it visible to those in the breakout rooms. You have to join those rooms in order to do it. One of the things that I really like doing when I have participants in breakout rooms, if I've shared a slide deck with all of the students or the participants in a session, we're all working from the same deck. So I might give them a challenge. Like I might say, I'm going to put you in breakout rooms. I'd like you to be able to answer this question as a group. Share your thinking on a slide before you come back to the main room. This allows me to kind of keep in touch with what's going on in those breakout rooms. It helps me keep in touch with the participants and how their thinking is taking shape. If I'm looking at that Google slide deck while they're in a breakout room, I might be visiting with the participants in breakout room 1, but because I can see the responses that are being added to the slide deck, I can see what's going on to some degree in breakout rooms 2, 3, and 4 as well. So you have different options. You can set them up ahead of time, and you can also do them on the fly automatically, letting Zoom, kind of do the heavy lifting for you. But if you want to be able to strategically put people together, you have the ability to do that manually as well. In the bottom right corner, you'll see what participants see once the breakout rooms have been opened. They receive an invitation that looks much like that, and then they can join that group. You'll also be able to see who has joined the groups and made the transition into the breakout room smoothly once you give them the invitation. And if somebody is failing to transition, they will still be with you in the main room, and you can talk with them and help them get into the space that they need to be in. I'll be honest, most of the time when people don't transition into breakout rooms, they also have their camera or their microphone muted, and they haven't heard or received the invitation to make it into the breakout room. So that's just my experience with the entire thing. So I went through a number of different, very quickly, Zoom tools, backgrounds, screen sharing options, breakout rooms, and polls. These are just a few quick ideas that I've seen other people using that have made for better engagement inside of their spaces. I mentioned before that backgrounds can be used to demonstrate whether participants agree or disagree. They can use a thumbs up, thumbs down picture. They could use a red background or a green background if accessibility issues are not really at play inside of your space. They can also use backgrounds to show what they know. We use KWL charts often in education. Students can show up with a picture in their background that shows the most important thing they learned the day before. Historical characters as well, meaningful settings inside of things that they're reading. You can also ask students to offer you fast feedback on something that you just taught by sharing a background that reflects their understandings. Doing this really pushes metaphorical thinking because it requires students to use multimodality visuals in order to represent or symbolize things that they're thinking. Screen sharing is a great way to workshop something that students are creating in written form. They can share their screen in order to build a conversation around their work. We can share screens to analyze text together. And we've already spoken about the fact that it allows for learner facilitated sessions. Screen sharing can also be fun for scavenger hunts. So you might, as an anticipatory set, explain that you're about to dive into the third chapter of a text, give students 5 minutes to go on a scavenger hunt and to screenshot something that they might have a question about, something that intrigues them, something that they think they might struggle with because it seems very confusing to them, and they can share those images as well. Breakout rooms are great for things like affinity mapping. So let's say students are generating research topics. You can put them into breakout rooms where they, as a group, rapidly brainstorm out all of the ideas that they have for their research paper before they start to cluster and categorize them. Breakout rooms are great for think and ink, like I just described. I'm going to give you a question. I want you to go talk about it in a group. And then I want you to add a slide to our Google Doc that shows us what your group was thinking. Breakout rooms are great for peer review and peer coaching. I have just started using Jigsaw more often, where I will put students in an initial group. They will draw a conclusion, and then I will jigsaw them into a new group with representatives of every other group. This is easy to do in the breakout room scheduler because it opens in a way that allows you to see who's in every room and then reassign them to a different room very simply. Polls are fun to use at the beginning. I have a lot of friends that are doing jam or not a jam, where students are entering the room listening to music and they have to use a poll to vote on whether that song is a jam or not a jam. And it's just a nice way to build community. Anticipation guide, these are today's outcomes. Which ones do you think are going to be the biggest concern for you? Where might you struggle? And it gives you a really good heads up about where you might want to hover more. Using polls for KWL, ticket out the door, where they have to give you some feedback on where they struggled to keep up with you or what you did really well that day instructionally. Polls are really good as well for formative assessment. So those are just a few next practices. You'll want to be able to share your recordings with your students. I explained before that sharing it as an MP or saving it as an MP4 to your local computer and then uploading it to Google is a really good way to prevent you from hitting those quotas inside of Blackboard. You can simply do that by clicking the recording button off, and you'll get a message that the file is being converted to an MP4 as long as you selected that it will be saved to your local computer. It might take a little bit of time in order to do that. You'll be able to also see your recordings in your folder after that's done. You'll want to, once you've saved it to your local computer, upload it to your drive and then provide the link to that drive file in your Blackboard. And again, that's going to reduce those storage issues that we're starting to contend with. There are some great ways to use recordings to a fuller potential as well. It's great to share the class recordings with students so that they can review them in case they struggled and they would need to review the lesson again, or in case they missed class. It's also really useful to record your feedback and conference sessions with students, even if they're one-on-one with you or in small groups. Eric does this consistently. It is one of the things I appreciate most about working with him, is that when I meet with him for any sort of consult, he'll record our meeting so that I can go back and play it. We can do the same as instructors. You can also create quick explainer videos. Today I tried, and maybe was not so successful at 2 different points today, but I tried to break today's presentation into small pieces so that I can send these recordings as explainer videos to people who ask questions about this content in the future. A really brilliant way to use recordings is to challenge students to rewatch the class recording and ask them to reflect on their participation. What do you notice about your contributions to today's class? What do you notice about the way we engaged in dialogue? Were we able as a group to build and sustain high quality discussions? Rewatch the video recording in order to coach a bit of metacognition and some reflection or self-assessment, even to model and have them pay attention to the way feedback was provided and what that looks like. So those are just some next steps. I will say that the live training that's available on daemen.zoom.us/live training, these different pieces are really useful. And so that's a place where you can learn more. You can also go to the Daemen ID website and schedule a consultation with anyone on our team. I'm happy to help you more as well. I know that time is really tight, and I actually have an 11 o'clock appointment as well. But I hope that if you would like to take any of these very basic things I threw at you quickly today and customize them for use in your own classroom, that you'll reach out to me and schedule an appointment, because I'd love to meet up with you and talk more. If you have last questions, I hope you'll throw them into the chat. I'm going to document them very quickly before I head out the door, and you can expect an email response from me by the end of the day today. But thank you everyone for being here. It was good to see you, and I hope this was useful.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. Have a great day.
You too.